Hey y'all, and welcome back to my kitchen, or welcome if you are new. My name is Bethany, or Budget Bethany, and it has been a hot minute since I had a new What's for Dinner up for y'all. But nonetheless, I have a new one today, and I'm going to be sharing 4 super easy air fryer dinners with y'all. They're not very healthy, but they're always delicious, and your family's always going to be fed. So let's get on into this week's What's for Dinner, y'all.
Now all my dreams are coming true. I just want to put my heels on tight, dance with you all night, move to my favorite song.
Alright y'all, so to kick off this week's What's for Dinner, we're going to be making some air fryer chili dogs. And as you guessed it, we're just going to throw these hot dogs in our little old air fryer. And I cooked mine on 390 degrees for about 10 minutes. And then of course you'll need a can of hot dog chili or homemade chili if you're feeling like making some homemade chili. You'll also need some buns as well as some shredded cheese. I'm going to use shredded cheddar cheese, but you can use whatever you prefer. And then I wanted to take the time out of the video really quickly just to tell you all thank you so very much for always supporting me. I know I've been MIA a lot here lately, but as most of you know, I'm a working full-time mama. I do work at a nursing home. I'm the activity director, and I work 40 hours a week. My husband also works out of town for work, so I'm quote-unquote a single mama during the week while he's out of town, and I'm taking care of the kids all by myself, and all 3 kids were in sports, so I had this practice and that practice and this practice, and it was just a crazy hectic time, and I had no time to make What's for Dinners. I have still been recording, so don't worry, I will be coming out with some new What's for Dinners. It's just finding the time to edit and do voiceovers. But as y'all can see, all the hot dogs are done. I just topped them with some shredded cheese, and I also fried some french fries. And I did fry my french fries in oil on the stove and not in the air fryer, but you could have done that as well. But anywho, nonetheless, I love each and every one of you, and thank you all so very much for always showing me support. But up next, we're going to have some air fried chicken taquitos, and y'all, this dinner is so delicious. If you don't try anything else from this video, I hope that you'll try this recipe. So I just shredded up a rotisserie chicken, but you could also boil your chicken. You'll also need some cream cheese, and I prefer to use the whipped cream cheese, some jalapeños, some shredded cheese, as well as some kind of seasoning. I'm going to use this Cajun 2-step. It's one of our favorites. And then just sprinkle that in there, and you're going to mix all that together with that chicken. And then once you get it all mixed together, you're going to put in just a little bit of sour cream, mix that in there as well. And then you're just going to spread that chicken cheese mixture on top of your tortillas, and then you're going to roll them up. And then right here is the Spanish rice that I'm going to be using for a side. So right here, like I said, you're just going to add that chicken cheese mixture to your tortilla, and then you're just going to roll it up. You do want to add a pretty generous amount just so that you'll have some chicken and cheese in every bite, and you're not just eating plain old tortilla. So as you can see, I'm just going to roll that up, and then I'm going to add that into my air fryer just like that. And I did spread a little bit of butter on top just to get them really good and crispy, because that's what I prefer, and it just makes it taste extra good, I guess. Once I got them bad boys getting coated in all that butter, I'm going to close the lid on my air fryer. I'm going to cook them on 350 degrees for about 5 minutes. You don't want to go too long. You might want to check them halfway through. You could add, cook them for a little bit longer if you need to, but you can never take away. So make sure you put it on a less amount of time just so they don't get burnt. But this is how mine turned out once they were done. I think they look really good. They look pretty perfect to me. That's how we enjoyed ours. So then we just had that Spanish rice, like I said, on the side, and I sprinkled a little bit of that Valentina hot sauce on the top of mine. You could also add or make some white queso cheese dip. That would be really good on top of them, I think, as well. But I just put on some plain old Valentina on mine. Moving into the next dinner for this week's What's for Dinner, we're going to be making some air fried chicken and veggie rice. So right here, I've got some squash and zucchini that I'm going to be cutting up. Once I got them all cut up, I'm just going to add them into my strainer and wash them off really well. And then I've got my 2 chicken breasts. I'm just going to cut those up into bite-sized pieces. You could use more or less chicken. It depends on the size of your family, but you'll need some chicken breasts, and I'm just going to cut those up into bite-sized pieces like I said. Then I'm going to throw those in a bowl, and we're going to add some soy sauce, some Worcestershire sauce, and whatever kind of seasonings that you prefer. I will share with you the kind of seasonings that I'm going to be using in mine, but you don't have to use the same seasonings. I've just got some garlic powder, some onion powder, and some more of this Cajun 2-step seasoning. I'm just going to sprinkle that right in there on top of my chicken in, give it a good stir. Then we're going to throw our chicken in our air fryer first, and then we're just going to throw our squash and our zucchini in there as well. And then I just use a spoon and kind of mix my chicken and my veggies together just so they can kind of cook evenly and thoroughly. And then I went in with a little bit more soy sauce just so that those squash and those zucchini would have a little bit of the soy sauce flavor as well. And then I went in with a little bit of salt, not too much, just because I had already seasoned that chicken really well. But I did want a little bit of salt in there. And then I just cooked this on 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. And then here she is once she's all done. It looks really delicious to me, and it looks really fancy once it's all plated up at the end. But I do want to note that it does cook out a lot of juices or waters, and I just strained a little bit off of mine, but I did reserve some just so that I could add that to the top of the rice when I plated it up with my chicken and my veggies. And for my rice, all I did was boil a pot of white rice. Here she is. Like I said, I just dipped out some rice onto my plate. Then I topped it with the chicken and veggies. And then we drizzled on some of that Terry Ho's Yum Yum sauce. We love that sauce. We add that to almost everything. But here was our dinner for this night, y'all. And I highly recommend y'all giving this dinner a try as well. Moving right on into the last and final dinner for this week's What's for Dinner, we're going to be making some air fryer buffalo wings. So as you see right here in my bowl, I've got my wings and I've cut them and prepared them as they needed to be. I've got my seasonings right here, and I'm going to use some of this Morton seasoning all. I've got some garlic powder and some onion powder and some of that Tony's Creole seasoning. And I'm just going to coat those chicken wings really good with all those seasonings. So I sprinkled in a heaping amount of those seasonings. I just put the lid on my bowl and shook it up, made sure all those chicken wings got good and coated with all that seasoning. And then here they are with all their flavorfulness. So here I am adding them into my air fryer. And I did add them one by one, but I guess you probably could just dump them all in there at one time and not have to waste so much time dipping them in there as one by one. I don't know what I was thinking, y'all. But just trust the process. Just trust the process. They're going to be delicious. I did only cook a few at a time, so that's why I didn't want to dump all of them at a time, because I was scared to cook them all at one time and, you know, some of them not get thoroughly cooked. So I only cooked a little bit to begin with just to kind of get the feel of it, but this is how they looked once they were done. I thought I had burnt some of them, but they were really good. Once I added that buffalo sauce, you couldn't even tell. So to go with our buffalo chicken wings, I'm going to be making some homemade macaroni and cheese. So right here in my pot, I just added some water and a little bit of salt, brought that to a boil, and added in my elbow noodles. And then once they were done, I drained my noodles from the water and everything. And in my pot, I used the same pot that I boiled my noodles in. I added in a little bit of butter, some flour, and some smoked paprika. And I'm just going to mix that, make that a little roux. Then I'm going to add in some milk as well as some of this melt and dip cheese, or you could use Velveeta. And I cut it up into blocks. I'm just going to throw that in there in that milk and butter flour mixture. And we're going to get that cheese to melting. So you want to make sure you're cooking this stuff on low or it will scorch. But once my cheese and all that was melted, I just tossed in my elbow noodles back into that cheese mixture, gave it a good stir, make sure all my noodles got good and coated, and you have homemade macaroni and cheese. Doesn't it look so delicious, y'all? And as much as my kids would have loved to just have chicken wings and macaroni and cheese, we did have a veggie to go with our dinner, and we had some of that microwavable steamable broccoli. I just popped that in the microwave and got that all cooked up, and then it was time to plate the plate. And I did serve my Frank's Red Hot Wing Sauce on the side, but you could also toss your chicken wings in it if you preferred it. And as you know, all great things must come to an end. So that's it for this week's What's for Dinner video, y'all. I hope you all enjoyed this week's What's for Dinner video. And if you did, as always, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up and subscribe if you were not already. I have missed y'all so very much. I love each and every one of y'all, and I will catch you all in the very next one. Bye, y'all.